I'm Rob Skinner, and this is the Rob Skinner Podcast. And today I want to talk to you about not giving up, because sometimes you're closer to your breakthrough than you think. All this and more on the Rob Skinner Podcast. Welcome back to the Rob Skinner Podcast. My goal is to inspire you to live a no-regrets life, make this life count, and multiply disciples, leaders, and churches. There's a story from a book that I absolutely love. It's called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. It's an oldie, but it's a goodie. And in the story, he talks about a man who goes out to strike it rich, and he's in Colorado. He buys a ton of mining equipment and all sorts of things associated with it. He starts digging and he gets some gold. He initially finds some gold and he's really fired up and he's happy and he's just telling all his friends about it. And then one day the gold runs dry. He just comes to the end of that vein, can't find it, keeps digging, keeps trying. And finally he just quits. He gives it up. He tells his family, "I'm sorry, it's done." He's invested all of his time, all of his money into this gold mine. And so he ends up just quitting at that point. He sells all of his equipment for pennies on the dollar to another person, basically a junk dealer. And that new owner takes it and he did something different. He hires a mining engineer, a person who's a geologist, familiar with rock structures and things like that. And the guy goes in there and he investigates and he says, "I think that you're only about 3 feet from gold." And so they keep digging, and what do you know? 3 feet away, there's this massive gold vein and becomes one of the most lucrative gold mines in that area. The guy's name is Darby, the one who originally bought the mine. And he took that lesson and he went off and he went into insurance. And the lesson that he gained from his quitting is, one, never quit, even when people say no. And he became super wealthy in the insurance business from the lesson that he learned to never, ever quit. But I think in the same way, spiritually, there's some gold that we can dig up from that one, from this whole lesson. In Galatians chapter 6 and verse 9, it says, "Let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up." Paul is saying, don't stop digging. Keep doing what's right. Keep trusting God. Keep sowing seeds because the harvest is coming. The truth is, the Christian life takes endurance. It's easy to start strong, and many people do, but it's staying faithful that really brings the reward. Sometimes the gold isn't found in the first swing of the pickaxe. Sometimes things start off pretty easy, or maybe it's tougher. So sometimes the gold, it comes after days, months, and even years of doing good when no one notices, no one's paying attention. You feel like no one's giving you any attaboys. When prayers seem unanswered, you feel distant from God. When progress seems slow, but God sees every act of faithfulness that you do, every prayer, every seed of kindness that you sow, every sacrifice that you've made. And at the proper time, the scripture says, in God's time, He promises you will reap a harvest, but there's a condition: if you don't give up. Now, here's the thing. You might be closer than you think, 3 feet from a breakthrough in your faith, your family, your ministry, your calling. So don't quit now. When I was a young Christian, I'd been a Christian probably about a year and a half or so, and I went through one of the toughest times up until that time, just a real struggle period. Almost fell away, almost just left, almost quit. I really, really honestly considered just walking away from my relationship with God, going back to my old life, leaving church, and just calling it in. And I just felt like the demands of God, the church, were just too much sacrifice, too much time, too much money, too much energy. Didn't have a lot of money at the time, but whatever I did was challenging. I really wanted to leave, but I don't know what got into me. I hung in there. I knew I didn't want to, I knew enough. I didn't want to go to hell. I knew I didn't want to be separated from God. And I wasn't super grateful to God, but at the same time, I knew I'm just going to hang on. And so I don't know. I'm just thankful to God. I just kind of hung on by my fingernails, started digging into the Bible, started praying. I spent a lot of time fasting, and it was kind of a miserable time, but I hung in there, and that actually led to the greatest spiritual breakthrough that I've had up until that time. I mean, it was really, really awesome because even though I was miserable for a while, even though I just felt so lost and so empty, it forced me to dig deeper in my relationship with God to break into a new vein, a deeper vein. I had that initial early success as a young Christian. I was fired up and just glad to be out of my sin. But God was saying, "Hey, that's good, but you need to go deeper. You need deeper motivation. You need deeper wells of motivation. The the current amount of gold you've got is not going to take you where I want to take you." And so I went through a period of about 6 months of struggle and fasting and prayer. I mean, at one point I fasted, I think the longest was about 18 days. I was just like really desperate and really went after it. So it led on to like a breakthrough that really powered me, especially in my early days in the ministry. I just was so fired up, and I think I've shared about it elsewhere. It just restored my sense of grace and God's love and just how lucky I was. I just replaced that old cranky attitude that I have with a real grace-filled motivation and springs of energy. It just was like breaking into a new mine of gold that I hadn't seen before. So let me ask you today, where are you tempted to give up? In what areas do you feel like, oh, I just want to quit? I just want to pack it in. Maybe you've been praying for someone and you haven't seen a change. Maybe you're feeling like, oh, my kids are never going to change. They're never going to turn toward God. Or maybe you've been trying to grow your ministry and it's really been frustrating. You just feel like you're beating your head against the wall. Or maybe it's your business. You've been trying to grow it, but doesn't feel like you're making the progress you want or that you initially had hoped for when you first started it. Or maybe it's your marriage. Maybe you feel like, man, no matter what I do, things don't seem to get better. And you feel like nothing's happening. And maybe you're a younger Christian and you're going through something similar. Just you're feeling like that initial glow in your relationship with Christ is kind of dimmed. Well, I want to tell you something. Don't give up, because maybe you feel like your spiritual life is going nowhere or you can't overcome a particular sin. I don't know what you're going through right now, but I know that periodically God puts us through times where we feel like, man, I've come to the end of the line here. I'm not being productive. I'm not seeing the kind of production or results that I really want. But I want to tell you, keep going. Don't quit. Don't stop now, because you may be 3 feet from gold. God's timing is perfect. And when he brings the harvest, you look back and you realize that every swing, every tear, and every prayer was worth it. Thanks for listening. Here's how you can help support the program. First, just let your friends know about it. Spread the word, please. Secondly, read and review my latest book, The 10X Christian. And you can find that on my website at robskinner.com, or else you can go to Amazon and buy it directly, because my goal is to inspire you to live a no regrets life, make this life count, and multiply disciples, leaders, and churches. Have a great day and make this life count.